Meanwhile, others join in. Maybe we can get to know each other. Maybe we can tell where are we from. I'm from India, Bangalore. This is my Voli Sopadla here. I'd like to know where are you from? Maybe you can even just chat it.
Yeah, I'm Andre from Indonesia. And
Hello.
currently, I'm a Scrum Master at a small, medium-sized company in Indonesia. It's really nice to meet you.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Andrea. Happy we have you connected. You said you are
Based
from
in
yeah, Maru, please.
based in South Florida.
South Florida. Wow, that's nice. I see we have Sangeeta also. Okay, let's see a few more couple of people joining in. Okay, we have Malgors Jata. I'm sure I'm messing up with your name. We're just discussing where are we from and what is the time there. Maybe.
Yes, it's pretty good. Actually, I should change it for Gosha. I am from Oxfordshire in the UK.
Wow, welcome. Happy to have you here.
Happy to be here.
Great. Okay, who else?
Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Yeah, I see Jacqueline. Okay.
Yes, hi.
Hello. Wow, guys, thank you. Thank you for being here. Well, I will quickly go through what is the agenda so that we all understand what is coming in our way for the next 30 minutes. Let me know if you are able to see my presentation here. Maybe you can just give thumbs up or someone can unmute and say it out. Are you able to see my screen agenda? Okay, I see. Kosha.
I believe I got thumbs up.
Cool, thank you. Cool, guys. So I will start with my introduction, which will give us the idea why I am here, why I am more focusing on conflict resolution while I'm working as a Scrum Master. And then this will lead into what is conflict, and then why does conflict occur. Once we understand what is the reason for conflicts to occur, then we'll look into what are the impacts of the conflict, especially at the workplace. And then we'll look into why do we need to embrace conflict. After this, we'll link this reason for embracing conflict, how it will transform or expedite agile transformation. Post that, I will run through few techniques which can help us to handle the conflict within our workplaces. Maybe if time permits, we can discuss on one of the case studies. We would like to, if anyone would like to bring your perspective, how you would convert the conflict situation into a collaborative working environment, that we can do as well. All right, so to begin with, I'm having an experience of around a couple of years, around 5 to 6 years as a Scrum Master. Before coming as a Scrum Master, I was working as a quality assurance lead. While I transitioned myself from the quality assurance lead to the Scrum Master, I experienced a lot of conflict. Lots of conflict between myself with the team members. And I witnessed lots of conflict within the team member and across the organization. Also, now almost around 35 years, I'm on this earth. And I see lots of conflicts happening within my family, with parents, or lots of things with friends, relatives. And even sometimes the conflicts are happening with strangers, right? So knowingly or unknowingly, even sometimes I contributed to them. So that's the reason I started to understand why we are so focusing on the just way of interaction. Whenever this kind of conflict happens, there is still lots of negative emotions flowing around within myself or the people around me, right? And lots of time, we focus most of our energy into thinking about this negative emotion. So while discussing this, I thought, okay, why don't we see why this conflict is happening and how can we convert all this energy into something productive? Then I started to look for Dale Carnegie's material, whatever they are publishing. And then I got struck into Nonviolent Ways of Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. I really got impressed by his work, and then I started to leverage that whatever the information he used to share into the workplaces. So to begin with, that's the basic reason why I got into conflict and how I use this conflict technique into my workplaces. So to begin with, I start with what is conflict and why does it occur. Basically, conflicts are difference in the opinion between the people, which are handled improperly, and it will result into negative emotion. Basically, it could happen in the workplace as well. It could happen within the family members or the friends, anyone. Whenever there are two people having the different opinions, it can happen, right? So then I started to think, why? What is the need? What is the reason behind this conflict? While studying more about the conflict, I tried to understand and narrow down my research into few questions and trying to find answers myself. Earlier, I thought every human being is different, and when every human being is different, they have different thought process. Might be that is the reason we are having the conflict. Then I again asked myself, if that is the reason, why don't we still just collaborate together, bring out our points, our opinions in a constructive way? Then I thought maybe it's a cultural difference, maybe it's a upbringing, how our parents would have taught us. So if that is the case, why this fight or conflict will happen between the brothers and sisters who have same upbringing or same cultural exposure, right? And then while doing this analysis, I also understood that each and every individual will perceive the information around us, the behavior of others, the expression of others in a different way. By analyzing that, every individual will express in their own unique way. So it's not just a single point we can tell like, okay, this is what causing the conflict. It's basically combination of all this. We individual human beings are having different thinking. We perceive things differently, and it's lots of cultural impact as well. The society, how it give the impact on us. All this together will bring the conflict. So when I say all the upbringings are impacting our how we express or how we express our needs, whenever we express our needs, it means whenever you express something like anger, sad, or frustration, that means it's the indication of some of the needs which are not getting met. So most of the people just know the needs such as physical well-being, air, food, sleep, right? Many other physical well-being needs. But lots of us are not aware what are the other needs what human beings are holding. And these needs play a vital role, especially in the workplace. That's why the people behave differently in the workplace. So I just quickly walk through what are the different needs so that we can relate why people will behave differently whenever their needs are not getting met. So basically the human needs as a physical well-being, you have air, food, shelter, sleep, and other. For example, if your team members are not getting enough sleep because of the work, whatever the hectic work they will be having, or they will not getting the time to take some rest, right? That time they will behave differently. That could be a cause for their conflict. And the second one is like a connection, need for connection. As a human being, we also need acceptance from our team members. We don't want other team members to judge us. We want a mutual respect between each other. And the third one is the honesty. If you are in a meeting, you also need to have a person who will be genuinely listening to you. That's a basic human need. And you have a need for authenticity, right? Like if somebody is feeling or somebody is not agreeing with your ideas, you want them to openly express those ideas instead of holding them back. And there is a need for play. That means in our daily talk, we should have a some kind of joke so that we all laugh and all. And also it includes the playing, right? Many of the organization now, they are building the infrastructure for games and all. That is to meet the need of play. And the other three are the peace. Many of the team members don't want to involve in a team where there is a lot of fight or quarrel is happening. They want kind of harmony, equality, and mutuality between the team members. And the autonomy is the very important one. Nobody even want to have themselves micromanaged, right? They want to feel like they have the freedom to make the decision. If this kind of environment we are not giving, obviously it will create lots of conflict within the team members. And one more thing is the meaning. That means whatever the work they are doing, the team members are doing the work. They want to see meaning, how they are contributing to the overall picture, to the bigger picture of the organization. Also, they have lots of needs, such as they want to grow together, they want to learn, and they want to work on some challenging problems. So like this, different kind of needs will be there. So understanding these needs will really help us to understand each human's behavior. So that we need to customize whenever the conflict happens. We need to understand these needs and appropriately take those actions. Once understood these human needs, what would be the cause for the conflict? Now let's look into what would be the impact of having these conflicts within the team, right? I will give you a simple example, which I have got it from the Scrum organization. In this case, a Scrum Master with 2 to 3 years of experience, he recently joined a Scrum team who was following Scrum for almost about 3 to 4 months. They were following this Scrum without having a dedicated Scrum Master. They learned all these events from the Google or someone who is there in experienced one. Once the new Scrum Master has joined in, with full of eagerness, Scrum Master wanted to give lots of recommendations, and he also suggested lots of practices. Seems like team also used to follow all those practices. But when Scrum Master wanted to go for 2 weeks leave, and when he went and came back, he understood that some of the recommendations which he had given were not followed. One of the recommendation was using the planning poker or the estimation tool. And one more interesting thing, what he found is one of the senior team members spoke lightly about his idea, about Scrum Master's idea, and made fun of whatever Scrum Master used to say. Now this triggered our Scrum Master basically. And whatever the discussions going forward used to result into who is right and who is wrong kind of. And this conflict was so evident that every team member, not only every team member, even the program managers used to understood this whenever that team conversation used to happen. I will take a pause here and I would like to see if anyone would like to handle this situation and convert this into constructive working environment. We can discuss this in our last 10 minutes in our question and answer session, if anyone would like to, or maybe we can just go with feedback session for this. Now, before I go to what is the impact, I also would like to touch base on the Tuckman model. Whenever the conflict happens, as per Tuckman, it used to forming, storming, norming, and performing and adjourning, right? But the performing stage, whenever it happened, there used to be continuous conflict used to happen, because we cannot just surpass conflict like storming stage and then reach performing stage. If the performing stage means every individual is openly questioning each other's ideas, they are confronting each other's ideas, bringing their own point of view. If that is happening, then only we can say the team is performing well, right? With this in mindset, what I wanted to bring here is, whenever the conflict happens, basically it will create lots of negative emotions. And whenever we have lots of people working together, there will be continuous conflict will be occurring, because every human have the different thought process, and every individual's needs will be keep on changing from time to time, right? We cannot have my own need of learning for my entire year. In between, I will have some need for peace. In between, I will have some need for creativity. So whenever these needs are getting changed, this conflict will be there. So whenever we have this kind of conflict, we need to understand how to convert this into positive working environment. So now we'll see why do we need to embrace conflict resolution. So consider, since the conflict will be giving the negative emotions, which will be staying for almost 2 to 3 days, right? For some people, it will go for even weeks and months, and they start to build upon that, and they start to play the game: who is right, who is wrong, victim, all those hero and villain kind of game, right? So to stop that and focus our energy, basically we would convert this conflict into positive working environment. That's called conflict resolution. So when I say conflict resolution, that means team is already open. They already understood this conflict is somehow making impact on their personal life or in the life of where they are working together, or the organization is adversely affecting the organization. When they are vocal, this is the right time to address this conflict. This is far more better than people are just going into freeze mode. That means they are not even telling what they are feeling. But the conflict are happening means they are vocal enough now. They understood and they want to correct it, that situation. So when we understand this kind of conflict, we need to build a culture so that it will enhance the openness. And once we handle this conflict properly, they also get some courage. Okay, next time I can bring out this kind of issues openly so that it will be resolved. If I don't handle it properly, then the team member will just stop bringing all those kind of issues from the next time onward. So basically, it will address openness and courage. And also, while doing the conflict resolution, we also will have the practice for mutual respect. Because if you don't have respect, then there will not be any conflict resolution. People will be just keep proving their own point, right? So basically, openness, courage, and respect will get enhanced whenever we are trying to build a conflict resolution. So these openness, courage, and respect are part of the Scrum, right? So directly we are aligning or we are embracing the Scrum values by just focusing on conflict resolution. So this is how we can expedite Agile as well. And more importantly, we increase the human connection. If we build that human connection by resolving the conflict, right, from the next meeting onwards, even if the people, they joke at each other, they will take it very lightly. It will build a humor within that environment, right? So I will give you another perspective, how conflict resolution can expedite Agile transformation. So Agile transformation, basically, I look at it as a happy customer and a happy delivery team. When I say happy customer, the customer also want to have new features, new tech stack based on whatever the booming technology we have now. And they also want higher commitment from the team members. They want to have a courageous team who can work on these tough problems. And they want to more focus on the creating value to their customers or themselves, right? So if you look at this, the needs of customer will directly align back to the need of delivery team on the right side. So even the development team or the delivery team, they want to work on new ideas. They want to have their creativity flowing in, right? They want to work on challenging environment. They want to take their own decision, right? They also have need for meaning. Whatever they are working, how will it contribute at the larger scale, right? So if you see, whenever we have the happy customer, happy team member, then we are directly focusing on Agile transformation. And how did come happy customer, happy team member? By bringing the openness, by confronting the constructively. All this confronting constructively, bringing openness and bringing the different ideas will only be possible if team member used to identify what is the problem rather than going behind people problem, right? So whenever we build this connection between the human, we are already trying to resolve the conflict or avoid the conflict in the first place, so that everyone openly communicate whatever their needs, their feelings are there, so that it won't become a bigger issue at the later stage. And this conflict resolution is a skill which is needed for each and everyone. It's not like just a Scrum Master or a HR team need to have. this should be needed for each and every individual so that they themselves can resolve their own conflict. Right? So once I understand how we expedite the agile transformation, now I would like to move on some of the techniques. While there are many other techniques, I will touch base on 3 techniques: basically respect, empathy, and differentiation between the request and demand. So when I say respect, if consider 2 people are fighting each other, if they feel they are not able to hear each other, then that means there is no respect. One person is saying something and another person is keep saying whatever they are getting in their mind. Nobody is listening to each other. The respect is a practice where it varies from the people to people. In India, basically, for some of the elder people, if we call them by name, they will feel disrespected. But in corporate culture, it's very common here. We will call them by name, right? So respect varies from people to people. When I was initially started my Scrum Master journey, that time I used to have ways of working, like team norms. And there used to be one line, right? Everyone will give respect to each other. But we will not understand how the respect I will perceive and how the other person will perceive as the respect. So recently what I do is we'll create a just half an hour meeting where we'll bring that every individual will have the respect differently. So whenever you feel disrespected, we'll create a communication channel, whether we will bring it one-on-one, how do we call it out, so that other people also understand that, so that it will not repeat again, right? And this is the evolving action item. So instead of having a ways of working for one time, we need to create a channel for building the respect, which is ongoing activity. Whenever I feel there's a knife entering moment or there is a trigger happening, then how quickly I will come back and tell, okay, this is what trouble, this is what's making me trouble. Can we refrain it thing, or can we stop doing this, whatever, so that people can understand how this person is coming from and they can have a dialogue on it. Right? Basically, the main concept here is to accept the people how they are rather than correcting them, and understand this is the person with the different kinds of leadership. If we go in that way, people will start seeing other person as a human being rather than considering that person as a enemy image, right? So this is the one thing which I wanted to bring as a respect. And the second one is the empathetic connection. Many of us, right? Most of the time, we'll just start going into giving advice. We'll just start giving solutions or correcting the other people. But empathy is the one. Empathetic listening is the one where we make sure that or create an environment where the other person will feel fully heard. It's like a deep understanding. They feel like they have been fully understood. I will give you an example, right? Many cases, like some of the decisions will come from the top leadership. Though the decisions are so good, it will not fly. Why it will not fly? Not because of team is not committed to them. Also, it's not because of team don't want to contribute on that. Most of the time, it's because of team members. They just want to be feel heard. They want to be feel heard for these opinions. So whenever we ask their opinion, okay, how do you see this decision? Then they will tell what their decision is basically. And once that happens, they will just contribute. My decision is okay. My viewpoint is okay, but still I'm okay to contribute to this. That's how they will take it. So empathetic connection basically have 4 components. The one component is clear observation without judging the people, without giving any advice. And there will be clear identification of what is their need, what is their feelings are happening. And then request. Whatever we are asking, we need to frame it into a request. So there are other options where we can practice empathetic listening, like empathy circle and all. And the last one I would like to discuss is making the clear differentiation between requests and demands. So if I say what is the difference between the request and demand? So request is the one, like whenever I ask someone to do something, and if the other person is enjoying whatever I am asking to do, right? That's called as request. If I'm asking one person to do something and that person is doing this activity out of fear of losing job or guilt or shame, then it's not a request. It is a demand at that time. Though the other person does it, they are not doing it with their full heart, right? They will just do enough things. So whenever a request we are making, we need to make sure that how we will behave if the other person is not contributing to what we are asking. If we are getting angry, if we are getting sulking, if we are sulking, then it's not a request. It's called demand again. So I'll tell you an example. There was a lady who was recently joined, almost around 2 to 3 years of experience in development. She was having some trouble with her technical stuff, and she wanted to seek some help from a senior member who was working in another Scrum team. Initially, she approached with a request with polite, kind words, and the other person was so glad, even though he spent a lot of time, extra time, to help her out. After a few days, again she went back and asked for help. That person seemed so busy, and he didn't even reply back to her, like he is busy. And this lady now sent an email copying so many people, including higher management. And that person, the senior member, took this incident as a demand now. And he started to showcase that how much busy he is now with the other stuff. The same person who was contributing to her problems earlier with willingly now is trying to find how busy he is. So there are a lot of difference will happen whenever the people try to do out of fear, guilt, or shame. They will not do it willingly. So basically, whatever the techniques we use for the conflict resolution, everything will rely back on the human connection. We need to see the humanness within another person, right? If another person is even yelling at us, we need to consider it as a tragic expression of their unmet need. They only know this way of expressing their need. If we look from these lenses, right, it will create lots of differences. It doesn't need both the party should be aware of conflict resolution. If at least one person is aware of this, if at least one person know how to handle this kind of situation, they can de-escalate this. Yeah, this is what I wanted to cover in this section. And as a summary, whenever the conflict happens, we will see lots of people issues. We will lose the peace within the people, and people will stop giving the ideas and feedback. Right? It will create a lot of negative environment. If we use some of the conflict resolution techniques, we can still convert this conflict into positive working environment. Right? People can openly give their clarification, ideas, and feedback. More importantly, they can focus on engineering problem, technical problem, rather than focusing on people problem. And that's where it will result into happy customer and happy delivery team. Yeah, I'll open for discussion, questions, clarification, or if anyone would like to give your perspective on how you would like to convert the estimation tool, the situation.
It's Achi. So that looks like very powerful tools. So a question, have you learned or considered learning mediation?
You mean conflict resolution, mediation? Normally, I will do it in our Scrum team. Mm-hmm. But not as yeah, please go ahead.
My question is it kind of formal studies that was taken? So how have you learned this?
No, it's not a formal study. It's not a formal study. It's because of whatever the experience I have gone through, right? So based on the experience and whatever I have learned from nonviolent ways of communication, and how I practice it with my Scrum teams or with my family members.
Cool. No, it's very powerful. Thank you for that.
Thank you for asking. All right. Any further questions, guys?
I want to ask a quick question. Usually, in my team is usually the team member is easier to have a conflict resolution, but the leaders is often more difficult on uniting the goal or something. So did you have any experience on that? Like,
Sorry,
yeah,
I'm
the
having trouble
leaders.
hearing you. Can anyone reframe if you could able to hear?
Maybe I could type it on the chat.
Yeah, that would be helpful, please. Thank you, Shashi. Okay. So, Anamban, you are saying the team members, they need to come up with the resolution, but leaders is more difficult. I see. So, but still, I see both of them as a human. But only thing is, most of the people will be coming with the entitlement mindset or the authority mindset. If that is the case, I see this kind of challenge. Do you have anything specific to them, specific to this situation, or it's entirely different? Yeah, if it's the authority thing, yeah, maybe it needs a lot of coaching at the leadership level. Maybe it needs just a human connection, or maybe they are not aware of how it is impacting sometimes, right? So we cannot generalize everyone, but most of the time, a one-on-one conversation, if they are open to listen, maybe we can approach them. Okay, this is what I see. Are you open for the feedback? Or are you open if I say what I'm feeling now, right now? If they open for that, then you can bring out how do you see this situation. Maybe they are just not aware how it is impacting. Not sure if this is helpful for you or if you have already tried this one. Yeah, because most of the time it's not, our intention is not to correct. Our intention is to understand what is making the person behave in that way.
Maybe the follow-up question, like a bit of it. Then how you coach it, like the first step is to understand that what's her need, what his need, and after that, how you coach the people to be more aware.
Yeah. So one thing I use is clear SBI model, like situation, behavior, impact. So what situation has happened, what behavior I have observed, right? And without bringing my judgment, and what impact it is making on myself or with around the team members. If I try to bring these things, most of the time they will also bring their perspective, and you leave it there only. Then go back after a few days and see, do you see it from my perspective? And ask them, how can I communicate if this happens again back to me? Right? It's a continuous dialogue. It will not happen overnight, I feel.
I see. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. It was nice connecting with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.